Just a few days shy of 4 months since their first and only meeting, the stage is set for Simona Halep and Jelena Ostapenko to duel in the diamond in a rematch of their memorable Roland Garros clash, with the premier mandatory final and one's possible ascension to #1 on the line in Beijing. We're all cognizant of the slogan, if at first you don't succeed, try again. Simple words, a simple message. Perhaps the personification of that mantra is Simona Halep. 2017 has found her continually chasing a few bold yet elusive goals. In June, she returned to Paris in a second final there, vying for her first major title as well as the #1 ranking, only to be denied by the same opponent she faces today. But she hasn't stopped. Not the chase, not the effort. A major title, it'll have to wait. But for a 4th time this season, she puts herself a single win from being at the top of the rankings. And there is no doubt she'll try again today. In cultures that champion the individual, societal messages often convey the idea of self-belief. Jelena Ostapenko is a believer. At 20 years of age, she wears her confidence and feistiness as a badge of honor. All it's done for her this year is allow her to flourish as one of the year's top players, bursting onto the scene with a moxie that unabashedly says, "I'm here, I'm staying, deal with it." Ostapenko, Halep, for a second time in 2017. They'll meet in the semifinals of the China Open. Welcome, tennis fan. We cordially invite you inside the Diamond Court, former site of the 2008 Olympic Games, as 9-seed Jelena Ostapenko of Latvia takes on the 2-seed from Romania, Simona Halep. 60 women began. Now just 4 remain from 4 different nations, 3 of them seeded, 2 of whom have not lost a set, with #1 on the line in the bottom section of the draw. Later today, Caroline Garcia will take her 9-match win streak up against 2014 runner-up Petra Kvitova. But we begin our semifinal Saturday with a top 10 clash. Jill Krabus, Jelena Ostapenko has been magnificent over the course of this year. She's certainly put together a fine season. She's in her 7th semifinal, pursuing her 4th final overall. Yeah, and for someone that just came on the scene really this year, that a lot of people have seen her, she's done a good job of backing up those huge results, has had very consistent play throughout the year, so it's been very impressive from Ostapenko. Dazzling, one of 3 members of the Final Four here to have more than 40 match wins on the year, and she's done it pretty efficiently. Got past Stosur early. Peng had a right knee retirement, but Cirstea, she was able to push through with some spotty play.
Yeah, and I think that retirement from Pong really helped Ostapenko go into that match against Cirstea, because she's played a lot of matches leading up to this event. Last week in Wuhan in the semifinals, I felt like she got a little bit tired, so a little bit of reprieve there for her to get that retirement. And since then, she just played a great match against Cirstea and had a lot of confidence.
Yeah, even when she started to wobble a bit, she found a way into the win column. Across the net, Simona Halep, 26 years of age, the native of Constanța, Romania, has had a solid year herself, also in her 7th semifinal year, as she tries to make it to her 5th final.
And Halep just looking so focused, in my opinion, this event. I mean, I felt like in the last month, there's a little bit of hiccup where she's gotten a little bit frustrated with herself. But so far this week, I think she looks rock solid, both physically and mentally.
Won her 2nd consecutive title in Madrid. She stumbled a bit against Risk in the opening round, but since then she has been on fire. Very consistent level play. And
especially the last 2 matches. Sharapova, that's the first time she's beaten her. And then Kasatkina, a little bit of revenge from last week. I think she made a really good adjustment after that loss at Kasatkina in Wuhan, so I think she's playing some really good tennis.
Ah, that word, revenge. Kasatkina, Sharapova, now Ostapenko. Why are we talking about revenge? Well, in case you've been under a rock, tennis fan, you don't know about it. Back in June, Ostapenko reached the final against Halep and was able to come back from a set and a breakdown. Played some magnificent tennis, and Halep so close. She was within a grasp of everything she wanted, but just missing out. She'll be focused today.
Yeah, she was up 3-love in that 3rd set in the French Open final, so hopefully that won't be playing a little bit in her mind. I'm sure it's there just a little bit, but I think, like I said, she's been so mentally strong, and I think she's really refocused. She's made such good adjustments in this tournament, and so I think I'm edging towards Halep a little bit.
Yeah, basically 9 games that Simona has lost in the last 6 sets here. She has really been dialed in. Maria Cicak in the chair from Croatia. She will be monitoring her duties from her ladder position. A little bit of a chance of showers late in the day, but guess what? They invested in a roof here, so it will not hamper our semifinal coverage from Beijing. So breaking down the matchup between the two, we certainly know what they're capable and how they have done to get to this point. But as they face off for a 2nd time this season, what are you expecting?
I mean, overall, I think it's a little bit of a tough one to call, because let's just focus on Halep for a little bit. Like I said, I think she's moving really well. I think she's cleaned up her game, not really giving a lot of unforced errors away, being very aggressive, taking 2nd serves very early, which I think is a huge key in this match, because I think sometimes Ostapenko can be a little bit vulnerable, especially on her 2nd serve. So I think that's going to be a big asset there for Halep. But of course, as we know, Ostapenko is the type of player that, you know, when she's on and when she's striking the ball and seeing the ball well, she can really just hit winners from any part of the court. So a lot of it's going to depend on Ostapenko, but I think overall Halep might be a little bit too solid today. Yeah,
the intangible and the X factor seems to be Ostapenko and where her mental level is. As Andrei Pavel in attendance, also a native of Constanța, Romania. He's been in the box of Simona Halep for the course of this tournament. Darren Cahill has been the architect of so much of the success for Simona Halep, not in Beijing currently, but no doubt keeping an eye on things and the progress that will be made today. But for Ostapenko, yes, she is the brilliant, flashy player, but she can occasionally have those mental walkabouts a time or two, and can't help but use that sort of pugilist example, as we see Annabel Medina Garrigues, coach for Ostapenko. Is it, you know, Ostapenko likes the lightning jabs, the combinations, the quick shots, looking for that knockout blow, and Halep always the counter puncher, always trying to avoid the shots and be able to, you know, use her skill set. But today, you almost have the sense coming in that there's a serenity to Simona's demeanor.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, that's been the key, I think. She let go of those past results. I think especially Sharapova at the U.S. Open, Kasatkina last week, had to play both of them today. And I think she even said herself she had to make some good adjustments. But even in her post-match interviews, I mean, she just sounds more focused, and she sounds ready to hopefully get that #1 ranking that's been her goal for so long.
Were it not for that pesky Ashley Barty, Ostapenko might be looking for a 12th consecutive win. Instead, that's just the hiccup in the semifinals of Wuhan, and what has been a terrific run. 2nd title in Seoul for the Latvian. For Simona Halep, a chance to pick up another premier mandatory title, her 2nd of 2017, to match her output in Madrid. The rematch, Roland Garros final. They're thinking about it in Beijing. It's coming up next from the China Open. She's been so close 3 times. She's been a match away from the #1 ranking, ascending to the top heights of the WTA position. Simona Halep is just 2 sets away from doing that once again. Standing in her way, the woman who bested her on the Terre Battue in Paris for her first ever title, and it was a major to boot. It should be exciting as we welcome you back inside the Diamond Court here at the National Tennis Center. Ostapenko will stand at the top of your screen. The 20-year-old will kick it off. Semifinal Saturday underway from Beijing.
Well, we were talking about adjustments that Halep has made, and I think that's one that she's been very effective at, is that forehand side, getting a little bit more spin on the ball and hitting through the ball better, and therefore it's getting a lot of depth, and that point pushing Ostapenko back behind the baseline.
Couple of errors from Ostapenko, 3 to be exact, put Halep to position for the early break. And that misses as well, and Ostapenko up against it early. 4 unforced errors. Gifts over the opening game as Halep assumes the lead early.
4 unforced errors, but I feel like that had a lot to do with Halep. That's why I think she's putting a lot more pace on her ground strokes, especially on the forehand side. You could see Ostapenko in the first game really trying to be aggressive to the Halep forehand, but that's something that she's cleaned up quite a bit this week.
Simona entered Beijing on a significant backward step, if you will, just in the sense that she has had a bit of a struggle since she fell in the Cincinnati final. That started a 3-match losing streak. It's not overwhelming, but it certainly kind of sticks in your mind a bit as you try to finish the year on a strong note. And still Ostapenko having difficulty finding the court. You know, as we mentioned 4 times now, Simona's been playing with the pressure of knowing that if she's able to produce the victory, she'll be the #1 player in the world. And that also befell her the 3rd time was in Cincinnati when she lost to Garbiñe Muguruza, who currently occupies the space she covets. I think that, Jill, you'd agree that that's what's been remarkable about the idea. Tough matchup, risk seemed to fight her pretty well.
Yeah.
Hindered the only drop set, but since that point, she has just found another level, both mentally and with her style of play.
Right. I think also the few times that she was facing the #1 ranking, she came up against opponents that were playing extremely well, like Muguruza in that final, like you mentioned. I mean, Muguruza played unbelievable. Didn't make any unforced errors.
Yeah.
Ostapenko at the French, all of a sudden firing on all cylinders to get back into that third set.
Contact Wimbledon.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the best matches, I think, of the year so far.
Medina Garrigues already getting the stare of disappointment from Ostapenko as this choppy start finds her a half a dozen unforced errors in the opening 8 points. First words from Cicak since the coin toss. Ostapenko doesn't really believe it, but she's going to offer a challenge. She's already walked over to assume a position from the return side on the ad court, and confirmation she's lost a challenge in the set. Quality serving from Halep has already frustrated Ostapenko. Loses a grip on her racket and the opening 2 games.
And that's a significant difference, too, from the hard court season in the States, is Halep's serve. She's gotten a lot more pace on average on her first serve. I think at the U.S. Open it was averaging somewhere in the 90-mile-an-hour range, and now it's considerably been around 100 almost this whole week on the first serve.
Yeah, and some free points for Simone. Her serve certainly boosting and helping her cause.
And just overplaying that one a little bit. Ostapenko already showing some signs of frustration just in the very early stages of this match. And she can do that sometimes, but this week I feel like she's recovered quickly from that, been able to refocus, and that's something Medina has been really working on with her. Well, not a bad return there from Halep. That's the danger when you're so far outside of the court. You really have to make sure you hit a very high-quality ball because, as you saw there, Ostapenko can just use that pace against you and redirect the ball nicely down the line.
Finally winning a point on her serve, Ostapenko, 15 all. That's just wide, and it'll be a second challenge from Ostapenko as it seemed to be tailing away. Cicak busy already in these opening 7 minutes. Let's see if Ostapenko can overturn the out call. She can.
Oh, well-played point there from Ostapenko. That's where she's really effective. From the center of the court, she's able to get that forehand cross-court and create that angle so well. Really puts her in a position, gets her opponents in trouble with that shot quite often.
And Ostapenko has her hold after a difficult start out of the gates. Runs off 4 consecutive points and looks up and sees a digit next to her name on the scoreboard. Opening 8 minutes, it's Halep who enjoys a break lead early in the semifinals in Beijing. She didn't like the path the opening 8 minutes took, so Jelena Ostapenko sat for a moment, popped right back up, ran to the baseline and said, come on, Simona, let's go. Let's play. She's eager to get right back to action as the world number 2 steps to the line to serve for a second time. Trying to protect the break of serve lead she enjoyed in the opening 2 minutes and continues to hold on the scoreboard.
Wow. Unbelievable shot there from Ostapenko. It almost looked like she was about to catch it late, but she accelerates at that last second so well. But still, that angle, just incredible timing from Ostapenko. Halep going for a little bit extra on that second serve and changing it up out wise. Good choice there. She's got to maybe take a little bit more risk and get more aggressive on that serve. You see how Ostapenko is able to really cause some damage on the return.
Well, if it's going to be that kind of day, put a little extra butter on the popcorn. That's exciting stuff.
Yeah, great quality hitting from both players off the ground. Such pace and such depth. You see Halep was able to get herself in a little bit better position just because of how deep she got that last forehand. And still just incredible moving from both players. It was a big point there for Halep to get in a position to hold serve here.
Yeah, very sturdy. He began with an aggressive return from Ostapenko, and Halep just never wavered. 22 shots as Ostapenko unable to maneuver to break point, and Halep with the hold. 3-1 start for the Romanian.
Well, since those first couple games, you see Ostapenko has gotten a little bit more consistent and really changed her court position a little bit more on the baseline now, and that's why she was able to pressure Halep just a tad more on that service game.
Just blowing up her previous results here in Beijing. Ostapenko serving for a third time. 2016 was one and done. Kuznetsova beat her 7-5 in the third set. She packed her bags, left early. She's hung around a considerable more amount of time here in 2017. As mentioned, her 7th semifinal of the season. Auckland, Charleston, where she pushed through to the final. Prague, Roland Garros, Seoul, Wuhan, and now Beijing.
Oh, Ostapenko taking that backhand so early. You see Halep couldn't even redirect her body, couldn't get into position for that last shot. That's because Ostapenko using that pace against her, just really staying on top of the baseline. No, that's too good. You can see how pumped she is and how focused she is. That we've been talking about that throughout this tournament from Halep. Just good redirection of the ball. That's one of her best shots, that backhand down the line.
That's her first winner of the match from that side. And such tremendous balance as she moves laterally along the baseline. Speaking of backhands down the line, Ostapenko delivers some quality after stumbling through her opening 5 service points, losing all of them. She's run off 8 of the last 10 within touching distance of the world number 2 early. High quality start from both Ostapenko and Halep in our first semifinal of the day. 18 minutes in, Halep with the break to begin the match continues to give herself a chance to pad her lead. If you've missed it so far, tennis fan, well, first of all, shame on you. Where you been? And second, prepare to be entertained, because this has already been pretty quality stuff. Really, there hasn't been much between them, Jill. It just seems that Ostapenko was a little slow getting out of the gates.
Yeah, that's really the only difference. I think both players playing some really good tennis, and that's exactly right. I think Halep just started a little bit stronger, was a more consistent. Ostapenko, a few unforced errors in the first couple games.
Few. As she misses wide with the forehand. Of the first 8 points of the match, 6 of them were unforced errors by Elena. So there were a few. She certainly settled down.
Wow, I mean, that just came back so fast. Ostapenko just not even hesitating on that return.
Oh, goodness, it comes in at 93 miles per hour and goes through the court far quicker.
But she loves that pace, too, right into her racket.
Yep. Quality once again from Ostapenko as she arrives at her first break point. And just the easy power and the good footwork to get herself in a position, moving Halep around. Halep has actually improved her service hold percentage from the season in this tournament. She's broken 6 times, saving 12 of 18 break points. On the year, Simona averaged saving 70% of the break points faced, but saving 82% here in Beijing as she makes it now, saving 13 of 19. And important to try to keep a hold of this lead and not allow Ostapenko to keep believing that she's right back in the mix, although that's tough to stop Elena's self-belief.
Well, you could see Ostapenko at the last second just rushing after that forehand. Just a little bit. Otherwise, she hasn't. She's been looking pretty good, hasn't hesitated at all. And you mentioned the self-belief, and you just feel like she's going about her game now after those first couple games with just full intention. Well, we've talked about how Ostapenko is so good at whipping that forehand cross from the center of the court. And now she's slowly starting to mix in this down the line forehand. And you can see it just puts Halep on her back foot for an easy put away backhand for Ostapenko.
8th winner. And remember, now with 10 unforced errors, 6 of them came in the opening 2 or 3 minutes. So she's really started to put her game together. And as you said, mixing up a little bit with that forehand to just drive Halep to the backhand side, opening up the court. And predictability that maybe Halep was starting to key in on, that's going to change things up for her, and she's going to have to be a little more cognizant that Ostapenko has a couple of variations to her attack now. And Halep with a hold for 4-2. Pavel, former top 15 player himself from Romania, seems pleased early, and why not? 23 minutes in, Halep for the first 6 games.
Good pressure there from Halep, well inside the baseline on that second serve. And good choice, too, just hard down the center of the court, but she Just got to make sure she gets enough pace on it, because Ostapenko very good from that part of the court, but she did a good job of making sure it went through the court, went through her shot on the return.
Oh, and just so much time. That second serve just floated in, almost as if Ostapenko underhanded it, and Halep makes her pay, punishing the return.
I think Ostapenko just took a little bit off because she wanted to make sure she got that second serve in, but the way Halep's been returning, you can't just get the serve in. You got to put a little bit more on it. Well, such good defensive skills there from Halep, but too much power off the ground here from Ostapenko. You can see, again, her just taking it so early. She just gets a good shoulder turn, and really it's tough to tell which direction she's going to hit the ball.
She's already been under some duress early. Broken to love to start the match. And Halep unable to pad her lead further, at least for the moment. 2 break points saved with a quality ground attack from Ostapenko. Backhand and forehand sends break points 1 and 2 in this 7th game out of reach.
Well, I think this is really, I mean, one of Ostapenko's best assets is that, I mean, not only her pace and depth off the ground, but the fact that you can't really pick up on a pattern, because she can hit the ball from anywhere and in any direction. I mean, you feel like sometimes when she's in position, she might only be able to go cross court, but she changes it so well.
Again, Halep attacking a meager serve, coming in at 75 miles per hour. Just so much time to prepare, run around, get the forehand, and become offensive with it.
That's another good return, and that's definitely part of Halep's strategy, is when she gets the opportunity. She's been aggressive on the returns in general, but especially against Ostapenko, who can get a little bit vulnerable on her serve. Halep wants to make sure she stays on top of that, really applies that pressure.
Elena's first serve percentage was starting to rise, but now it's faltering again. She's becoming more suspect, facing another break point. Misses once more, and now 3 of 12 today on her second serves. She knows she's struggling so much, she's going to challenge, because she wants another try at a first serve. Not sure she's going to find joy here, but that's why we roll the official review. Now, missed, and she has 1 challenge in the set, but more importantly, Halep looking to feast on this second offering. And didn't do enough with it. And Ostapenko stays alive in the 7th game.
Well, Halep not quite doing enough with that return, and Ostapenko is definitely going to make you pay. Halep just returning in the middle of the court.
And the double fault. It continues to plague Ostapenko. Remember, yesterday in her quarterfinal against Sorana Cirstea, threw 7 of her 14 double faults in the early rounds and had her difficulties with her second serve. Was able to overcome it in the end in straight sets, 4-4. But still, you get the sense that the troubling nature of these first serves. It's going to put her in a bind so much that she takes a lot off that offering just to get it in. Halep able to hit right back to the middle of the court. And Ostapenko, frustration.
Yeah. I mean, that mistake was, that mistake right there was because she was frustrated with her serve, for sure. You can see she just quickly made an unforced error, didn't react very well. And she's going to check this one out, but she only has 1 challenge remaining. Well, Halep missed it, but she's got to do it. She's got to keep going for that. It wasn't a bad mistake, in my opinion, because she's got to stay aggressive on that return. That's the first one she's missed, really.
Yeah. 4 tries for 5-2 have been denied. They return to deuce for a 5th time.
I mean, that's just too good from Ostapenko. That forehand again, just right into the corner of the court. Such a good job of loading on that back leg to get a lot of pace on that shot and handled the swing volley extremely well.
Sixteenth point of this 7th game that has far eclipsed all others in duration. Yes. Wow. A little taste of her own medicine. Certainly the sturdiness, but Halep with that forehand down the line gives Ostapenko fits.
Oh, well, it's just such high quality hitting from both players off the ground, and Halep doing a good job of scrambling in this point. And then when she finally gets the opportunity for a little bit of a shorter ball that Ostapenko hit, she cuts into the court nicely, takes that ball early. That was just great tennis.
Just her 2nd forehand winner, but you know that felt good to keep the 7th game going.
A little bit of a change of pace there from Halep on the forehand. A little bit of a slower ball up high to Ostapenko's backhand. She just messed up Ostapenko's rhythm a little bit.
Ostapenko once again. The forehand misses the mark, and Halep has her insurance break. A hold away from handing Ostapenko her first drop set, as well as putting her that much closer to the final premier mandatory event, the China Open.
Yeah. For 3, both sides, okay? So it's okay, Alona. You are doing keep playing your forehand down the line, and she's suffering a lot when you play your forehand cross to the angle, because your ball is going very low, and she's suffering there. And stay inside of the court and keep pushing, Alona. It's the only way, okay? Try to stay a little bit closer on the baseline, like this. You can take out time to her, and keep playing the same. She's not missing anything. She has to go down a little bit. Okay? And even like this, you are very close. It's not real 5-2. But you have to know that it's going to be a really, really tough battle. You have to suffer a lot. With the forehand, how you are doing? With the forehand? Correct. Okay. Vamos, vamos. Vamos, Alona.
Well, it's equal to their Roland Garros championship match. It hasn't disappointed as Simona Halep looking to take the opening set and a hold away from doing so. You know, featuring these two Roland Garros finalists, and Ostapenko joined by two-time Roland Garros doubles champion, her coach, Anabel Medina Garrigues. You just see her head in the background there behind Halep. She came to talk to Ostapenko between games 7 and 8.
Yeah, Medina Garrigues just, mentioning to Ostapenko that, stay in it. You got to fight through this, because this is going to be a battle, because Halep isn't missing anything right now, playing very solid, very focused, confident tennis.
Oh, crafty. Nice little undercut slice getting away. Ostapenko chase, and she might not have time to look up. Anabel Medina Garrigues was saying, look, 5-2, it's closer than that. Don't look at the scoreboard. You're in this. Well, Halep looking to shut her down in just about a minute's time, arriving at triple set point. At 38 minutes, Simona Halep one set away from the final and number one. Brilliant performance early in a match that has not disappointed. Part 2 in 2017. Halep, 6-2 opening set. Back to the action. As we mentioned, part two of the 2017 clashes of Halep, Ostapenko. No disappointment thus far, except for perhaps Ostapenko's camp, as the Latvian serves first in set two and begins promptly with an ace. As she looks to distance the memories and disappointments of those opening 38 minutes. Doesn't always linger for a considerable amount of time, Jelena. She's pretty good at turning the switch. One of the part of her feisty nature and her personality is she shows her frustration, but she seems to leave it there. Once it's out.
Yeah, we do get the sense that she'll start this second set a little bit better. She just had a little bit of a slow start in that first set. Gave Halep the break right away, and then Halep just kind of stayed so solid to win that first set. So definitely get a sense that Ostapenko is going to be a little bit more focused now. She's a little bit more warm going into this second set. Now Halep motioning to herself to go down the line on that ball, and I think Halep's been a little bit more successful when she's taken that second serve return more to the backhand side, because it's one of Ostapenko's strong shots is that forehand cross court.
Crossed herself up a bit. Halep was going to try to get around to the forehand side and realized she was going to be unable. Just crowded a bit too much. Her return long, and Ostapenko off to a better start considerably in the opening set as she takes a 1-love lead. Well, we know that Ostapenko has been fantastic this year when playing from a set down. We'll address that in a moment. This is the first set that she dropped, and it really became just the difficult getting out of the blocks for her. Too many errors.
Yeah, too many unforced errors for sure. 20, and Halep only 3. I mean, that's a huge difference there. And Halep serving a little bit better as well. I think Halep's gotten a little bit more chance to be aggressive on the second serve. Ostapenko throwing in a few double faults, but overall Halep just so solid. Obviously, Ostapenko's got a few more winners because she's been a little bit more aggressive, but Halep, the movement around the court, defensive skills, and just those few unforced errors, it's just been such a solid performance in that first set from Halep.
Yeah, even recognition from Medina Garrigues when she spoke to Ostapenko on the court. When she came down to the on-court coaching aspect of it, said, look, she's not missing. She's playing phenomenal, sturdy tennis. But don't get dismayed. If you stick to your tennis, it matches up pretty well with it. So
we'll stick to her tennis, but also I think Medina Garrigues made a few good points where she reminded Ostapenko to be a little bit more up on the baseline, try and force Halep, try and rush Halep, and also to use her forehand cross court a little bit because Halep's been struggling with that particular shot from Ostapenko.
Halep held to love in about 63 seconds to finish off the opening set and picks up where she left off. Just the quickness with which Ostapenko can strike. The racket head comes back, but it moves so quickly through. Well timed. Great angle.
She sees the ball so early. I mean, to pick up mean, that was a pretty good second serve, and to pick that up and take that ball so early, it's impressive.
Ostapenko errant once more. Not pleased with her forehand, and she'll pout for a moment, but go back and set herself up to serve for a second time. Yeah, Simona Halep has been borderline terrific. We'll use that word when taking the opening set this year. 88% of the time she's won the first set. She's gone on to win the match, including 15 of her last 16 and 11 consecutively. That's all well and good and bodes well for Halep's chances here today. But while I say borderline terrific and putting it in that area, how about Ostapenko this year when playing from behind in matches, as she did in Roland Garros, the final there, and as she's doing here today? Great serve to find an angle that just has Halep swinging and missing in the whiff. Jill, I'm going to put this in your camp because you're more knowledgeable about this than I am. But
yeah.
13 and 13?
It's ridiculous. Yeah, after losing the first set. I mean, because we talk about, too, how she can get frustrated sometimes with herself. But to be down that many times after losing the first set and to be able to regroup and get focused, and I mean, mentally, that just shows you how really strong she is.
She's hoping to make it 5 in a row. She did it twice in Seoul in the semis and the final to win the title, her second of the year, and she did it twice in Wuhan. Coming back from a set down, part of this magnificent run that she's enjoyed through the Asian swing. It's a challenge coming from Halep, trying to deny Ostapenko. I believe it'll be our third ace on the day. It is, and stands as such. Yeah, still a bit taken aback. 500 on the year. Half of her matches losing the opening set, she's been able to come back. That's a testament to why, you know, she's now in the top 10 and continuing her rise. Quality hold, and she made her top 10 debut after the U.S. Open. She's up 2 spots to number 8, and she's going to rise at least 1 more. Future number 7 has herself a 2-1 lead in set number 2. Ten days ago, Simona Halep celebrated her 26th birthday. Perhaps looking to supply herself with a belated birthday present here in Beijing, trying to hold on to a one-set lead, keep pace with Jelena Ostapenko, who's starting to heat up a bit in a match that has been a terrific exchange between these two in these opening 50 minutes already. Fourth ace for Halep. Starts off game 4. It's been pretty stingy overall for the tournament, Halep, as far as double faults. Just her 7th this week. Two games apiece. Halep holding all 6 times she stepped to the line, and that'll please Pavel, who is in the camp with Halep now at the behest of and suggestion of Darren Cahill, who has been around Halep for the last couple of years and really has been a sturdy presence. They had their hiccups early in the year, having to part for a moment. Cahill feeling he had done as much as he possibly could, but then they reconnected. And Halep's been on the rise again. At the time constraints and the travel and so much going on, Cahill saying that Pavel would be a good ear. Living in Constanta in Romania, where Simona trains, present and accounted for and around, and seems to have a good influence on Simona. Somebody she looked up to when she was growing up in Romania as far as tennis pursuits.
It seems to have a very calm demeanor. I mean, every time he comes on the court and when they show him on the sideline, doesn't show a ton of emotion. And just seems to, he always looks very relaxed and calm. And I think that, I mean, when you look over as a player, when you're looking over as your coach, and when you see that, it does relax you and calm you a bit on the court. Especially, you're going to have pressure moments, you're going to have tense, nervous moments on the court. So it's always nice to look over and see someone who looks very relaxed.
Yeah, same can be said for Medina Garrigues.
Yeah.
She offers such a great, just balanced sort of level to Ostapenko's peaks and valleys.
Ostapenko just not getting up with the feet on that one. Halep hitting that last ball just a little bit shorter than Ostapenko was expecting.
Yeah, she's hit twice as many winners has Ostapenko than Halep, but 3 times as many unforced errors. And now she might be in a bit of trouble. Felt pressure very early as she was broken to love to start the match. Broken again late in the set. Halep looking to grab the lead for the first time here, what she hopes is the deciding one. And she's got the upper hand. So up a break and a set. Simona Halep halfway to the goal she covets, a final in Beijing and a 1 next to her name in the rankings.
You stay 2-0 in the second serve. 3-2. So keep fighting because you don't have your opportunities. Okay? And she's suffering a lot when you play the short angle, either forehand or backhand. Sorry? Okay. So you're not feeling there, but keep trying. Okay? Keep trying. We try our best until the last ball. Stay on the court, change the direction. Remember, hit and close. Hit and close. You don't have nothing to lose. Right? You don't have the pressure. Give your best and try your best. Okay? You are doing a great tournament, semi-finals. Very good results. Stay positive, and she's starting to complain a little bit. She's gonna start to feel nervous, you know, which is her situation. So if you stay there close until the last moment, let's see what happens. Okay? Vamos. Chica, positiva. Come on. Bye.
A very subtle adjustment and augmentation to her attack. Simona Halep is able to change things just a bit, and it causes a bit of concern and frustration for Jelena Ostapenko, who has been broken and fallen behind. Already losing the opening set in 38 minutes, now down 3-2 to the Romanian, looking to pad her lead further. And Jill, before we get to the conversation between Medina Garrigues and Ostapenko, that little adjustment, that little tweak.
Well, you could see it even on that last pickup. Halep choosing to go a little bit higher and deeper, and just that slight off-pace ball that's really caused the last 3 unforced errors, actually, from Ostapenko. The last 2 for Halep to break in that first point of this game. It is danger, though, to give Ostapenko an off-pace shot. Because she can do that to you as well. She can really hurt you. But I think it was just the moment. I think, you know, Halep had been hitting with a lot of pace and depth off the ground, and Ostapenko was getting that rhythm a little bit. And then all of a sudden Halep changed, got a couple unforced errors. But now Halep has to be a little bit careful because Ostapenko can unleash and just hit a winner like that. And like that.
Yeah. Well, so you don't want to become predictable.
But now it's time to mix it up again, right? Yeah.
We talked about the Ostapenko character and the personality, the feisty nature, and so competitive, as well as very self-critical. And during her conversation with Medina Garrigues, seemed a bit down for the moment, a little somber, as her Spanish coach tried to pump her up again.
Wow, that's too good. Halep's going to challenge this, but I think it just clipped the line.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
And the first signs of frustration we've seen from Simona. I'm not sure she believes in her challenge and is starting to feel the heat as Ostapenko, even when it kicked off the net court, it doesn't find its way wide of the court. So Halep under duress. And we talked about it at the outset, Jill, the fact that the messages of believe in yourself. You're special. You got to have that sort of motivation within yourself to thrive. And Ostapenko embodies all of that and more. I mean, she truly has that spirit that just says, you know what, I'm here.
Yeah.
Deal with me. She's a real go-getter. And by go get her, not only do I mean she gets after her, but she goes and gets her. She sees an opponent on the other side of the net and says, I'm going to go get her.
Yeah. Well, you just get the sense that she thinks she's going to win every single time she steps out on the court. There's no doubt in her mind. I think that's part of the reason why she's won a lot of those matches where she's been down a set, because it just, in her mind, she's just got it almost set in her ways that she's like, well, I'm supposed to win this match.
Well, this will be crucial for Halep now. The disappointment of not being able to protect the break of serve lead, broken right back. Ostapenko's already starting to get the flow going once more. Halep challenging. Ostapenko going for a 10th ace of the tournament, and she just skids into the line just ever so slightly. The fluff on the ball. And even just 0.5% of the line is all good. Ostapenko runs off 8 straight points. A break and a hold puts her to the lead in set number 2 as she tries to come back. And Halep on shaky ground once again in pursuit of a victory over the Latvian. Top 10 duel in the Diamond Court, hosting semifinal number 1 as Simona Halep, for the first time today, really feeling not only the pressure of what this match could mean potentially for her, but what it's like to once again deal with Jelena Ostapenko's prowess. Forehand, backhand, fighting spirit. Even her serves suddenly come on form. And once again, the counterpuncher is now starting to feel the barrage of a couple of 1-2 combinations as the momentum has shifted.
I think Medina Garrigues actually helped Ostapenko quite a bit, because Ostapenko was a little bit down on herself. I think Medina Garrigues made a few good points where just, she said, you had nothing to lose and you're still in this match. You might be down a break, but, Halep might start to feel the pressure of the situation. And I think she helped her, put her in a little bit of better mind frame. But I also think it was a combination of things. I think Ostapenko did a good job of, again, repositioning herself a little bit closer to the baseline. But I do think Halep got a little defensive. And that was a little bit better from Halep. I just felt like a few points on her last service game where she got broken. I felt like just got a little bit flustered, and I think she wasn't as steady off the ground as she was the whole first set, but only in that last game.
Yeah, her 7th service game.
Yeah.
First 6 were pretty sturdy.
But sometimes a lot of times in these matches, it just comes down to a matter of 1 or 2 points like that, where you might just have a slight slip. But so far, after those last couple of games, Halep serving well in this game did a good job of regrouping on the changeover. And great use of the court there from Ostapenko, really throwing in the angles in the shorter part of the court, not always going so deep, and it really puts Halep on the defense.
That was crucial. A big moment and a stopgap in the progress of Ostapenko as Halep holds for 4-all. And you can't help but think that's at least an opportunity to fortify what is a difficult position to be in. So many past memories, ghosts of disappointments past, if you will, for Halep being in the position she's in, whether she's really focusing on Ostapenko or thinking about the big picture. You would imagine she's got the blinders on.
Well, it was good mental toughness there, in my opinion, in that game, because really those last couple of games, it was the only sign of frustration we saw from Halep in this match. And so for her to get back on track there in that service game, and that was really mentally tough.
See if that hold fortified Halep's mental state, as Ostapenko can be hit or miss. She can ebb and flow from point to point. She herself has to be sturdy.
Wow, that's really good. You see Halep there again changing it up, going a little bit more height and spin on her ground strokes, and just sets up that backhand down the line and just really times this ball from the way far back behind the baseline to get that angle. It's just great hitting from both players.
Yeah. Dozen winners for Halep, and it seems as if Ostapenko is maybe not taking a step back, but she was giving herself a lot more margin and not quite as aggressive off the ground. There's a little more of the injection of pace that we've been seeing in her move towards trying to commit to this comeback, as is her nature and the aggressive stance she takes. Her 11th winner from the forehand side. That's just one shy of Halep's winners for the match.
Well, Ostapenko just trying to go for a little bit too much angle there. Just hesitated a tad on that last backhand, giving Halep break point chance here.
And Ostapenko succumbs. The pressure moment too much as she kicks her another double fault wide of the court, and Simona Halep a hold away from her second premier mandatory final of the year with so much on the line personally. The rematch and perhaps revenge. The rematch of the Roland Garros final. Revenge for Simona Halep. If at first you don't succeed, try. In Simona's case, try and try again. Her fourth match, being one win away from number one. Now she's just a single hold from reaching the top of the heap.
Good confident start there from Halep. That forehand down the line again being very effective for her, and good choice to take that swing volley down the center of the court. And it's long, and Ostapenko provides Halep with triple match point. A massive chance to erase some long-held demons, and what could have been, what might have been, now just might be. The sequel to Roland Garros 2017 did not disappoint. And the storyline that was all too familiar has a different ending. Tennis World meets Simona Halep, the WTA's new #1.
Well, she has done all week long here in Beijing. Even with a chance to stumble, she didn't falter. Simona Halep, so steady, so sturdy. And now atop the WTA rankings as she gets revenge for the lost Ostapenko in Paris. 6-2, 6-4. And move through to the final of the China Open.
Well, it was just a really incredible performance there from Halep, and she just kept rolling from her previous matches, stayed so mentally strong, and good effort there from Ostapenko as she leaves the court, but Halep was just way too solid off the ground. I think she had moments that she did get frustrated, but the way she bounced back from that, and the way she was able to compete and deal with that adversity in that moment where she got broken, I think that was just a key moment for her. I think she just played so solid and so just hitting the ball great off the ground and moving really well too, and just taking a look over the overall numbers here. I mean, I think you see Ostapenko, just too many unforced errors, only 32 and only 10 from Halep, and I think Halep just served a lot better, 69%, much better first serve percentage, but overall Halep just way too solid and too strong.
She began out of the gates very impressively, breaking Ostapenko to love, set the tone for the match. She was very patient when she needed to be. She was aggressive when she had the chances, and now the monkey is off her back. She'll be able to play with a new freedom, not chasing number one anymore. Come Monday, she will be the new number one. And for Simona Halep, a chance to do also something very impressive on the year. Perhaps she'll vie for a second premier mandatory title on the year, matching her output in Madrid. There'll be a ceremony now to award Simona for reaching the top of the summit.
This was really like a sweet revenge right here, and you did it. You must have a lot to say, a lot to share with us, please.
Well, of course, I have many things to say, but the words cannot describe what I feel now. It's the best performance that I have touched. Number one in the world, it's amazing. And this tournament, I want to thank you. Against a very tough opponents that I never won before, Sharapova, for example. So I had great matches here. Thank you, China, for this. I will never forget this day and this tournament.
So we're going to ask you to be with us to have this special moment. I'm sure you want to share with everybody. Shall we?
Yeah, sure.
Let's do that. 好，朋友们，我们一起来分享这首 Simona, yeah, please. And 我们一起来观看一段小小的视频。May I direct your attention, ladies and gentlemen, right now to the jump screens on both sides. Let's check out what Simona has gone through for the last year.好，朋友们，我们看到几位嘉宾都来到了现场。我们现在看到的是WTA 的 CEO Steve Salmon 在现场，另外还有我们的 Co-Tournament Directors Tom Ross and Alfred 张军伟先生。Steve, well, I'm sure you would like to share this moment with us. Would you please present this flower plaque to our new number one of the WTA? 女士们、先生们，要为新晋的世界排名第一的选手 Simona Halep， 我们祝福她。我们用照相机、摄像机记录下这一时刻。Ladies and gentlemen, the newly crowned WTA World Number One, Simona Halep. Thank you. I'll go next to a distinguished guest. Thank you. We're going to ask our Simona one more question, please. How does it feel to be world number one? You must have a lot to say. Come on.
Well, first of all, it's very emotional. It's, I think, first time when I cry on court.
It's a sight that some thought just might not be. Maybe it wasn't meant to happen. But it finally does. In August of 2014, Simona Halep got up to #2 in the world for the first time. And since that time, she's bounced back and forth with multiple chances, including 4 in 2017, to ascend to the top of the WTA rankings. October 7th, 2017, she finally does just that.
We're going to ask you to sign a couple of balls here. Send them to the crowd. How's that? All right.
Well, Jill Krabus, a chance to hear from Simona Halep and recognition of the people that have helped her get there. Andre Pavel in attendance in Beijing, Darren Cahill not, but she recognized Killer Cahill as part of, you know, the architect of what has been the last 3-4 years of her career, how she's been able to get there. But I'm certain that Darren and everybody else around her would say they helped, but Simona did it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a work in progress, right? It's not something that happens just all of a sudden in one tournament. It's something that she's been looking forward to and working towards her whole career. So it is not only the support group here with her this week, it's a support group that's been with her their entire career, and that's what she mentioned, that recognition to everyone that has helped her get to this moment, this special moment for her.
And special moment indeed. And now, though, she is very pragmatic, already saying, hey, by the way, tournament's not over. I still got one more match to play before I can walk away with my second premier mandatory title of the year. Part of the reason she is #1. But for all intents and purposes, the day really surrounding the fact that dealing with the pressure, dealing with the aggressive nature of Ostapenko, and able to get over the disappointment of the late break in set #2 that almost seemed to send her off the rails, but she held her nerve and she was firm. And she was able to get across the line. Halep will face either Kvitova or Garcia in the final. But today, celebration. #1 comes to Romania. Now, the elation will last all day, but she'll start to prepare for the final as Halep once again moves through. Remember, champion of Madrid. Will she also make it champion of the China Open in Beijing? Well, she'll set her sights on either Petra Kvitova, against whom she has a 3-1 record lifetime. The last time they met a year ago on the hard courts of Wuhan, it was Kvitova, though, with the win 6-1, 6-2. Or shall it be Caroline Garcia riding a 9-match win streak? Halep winning both of their previous meetings, 4 of 5 sets played. It's a foregone conclusion. Halep will be in Singapore, and she will be vying for the #1 ranking there as well. She'll be the #1 player going in, but that doesn't mean it's a foregone conclusion she'll finish with it. So much exciting tennis left in 2017, as well as right here in Beijing. We hope you'll join us 7:30 local time as 12 seed Petra Kvitova, runner-up 3 years ago,